Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Why Are We Like This, a Heartstopper podcast.
I'm Alyssa, she, they.
I'm Ashley, she, her, and today we're talking about episode 2, Brush.
Crush was written by Alice Oseman and directed by Eros Lynn. And I decided to change it up this time. I got the Netflix description because I liked it better than the IMDb description. The IMDb description was kind of garbage for this episode, so...
Fair.
So according to Netflix, Elle struggles to settle into her new school as Charlie and Tao are convinced Nick is straight. Nick starts to question his unfamiliar feelings. Or, as I would like to call it, the one with sadness, angst, bi-panic, and Orla Gartland making us all cry.
True. Yes.
I mean, really, Orla Gartland, Joe, Locke, and Kit Connor making us all cry, but, like, it's mostly Orla.
Yeah, that song really just...
I did not realize that it was this episode. I was not ready.
Yeah, the amount of times I've cried to the end of this episode, the beginning of the next, like, because I have a real problem where I don't stop. When I watch Heartstopper, I typically watch all 4 hours.
Fair.
I call it a real long movie.
Listen, I mean, with the way that movie like lengths are going these days, it's not that far off.
Truly.
Also, I should probably just say this, but I am experiencing a bit of a head cold situation. That is not COVID, because I've tested so many times and it's not COVID. But if I sound like a sick person, it's because I am in fact a sick person at the moment. So if my voice sounds different than it did 2 weeks ago, it's cold season.
My bad.
I'm sorry that the temperature dropped 20 degrees in 3 days.
Oh, also, we did want to take a moment to warn you all that we will not be spoiler-free. This is not a spoiler-free podcast.
No, and I think we forgot to say that in the last episode, and we're sorry.
But I don't think we really
Yeah.
got into too much. But before we do get into too much,
Yes.
no spoiler-free here.
Spoilers abound.
Galore.
That is a better word. All right. So we start off with what I have dubbed the angst montage. Because I didn't know how else to describe this montage efficiently. So angst montage it is.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment of the situation. There's a lot of back and forth in this opening, too.
Yes. A lot.
A lot.
Oh my god. And a lot to take note of. I spent like probably 15 minutes like watching, pausing. And then when I was finally done with all my notes, I was like, how am I only like a minute and 30 seconds into this episode? There is a lot to unpack.
The same situation for me. So we start off by hearing Charlie drumming and seeing Nick. And Nick is chilling in his room, stalking Charlie's Instagram.
Yes. And so this is the first time we see Nick's room. I don't think we see it in the first episode. It's very blue.
I love his bedroom. I love the color. I love the lights. I love all of it.
There's an American football helmet on his bookshelf.
I did not clock that.
It's like on top. There's like a model rocket ship, something that is either a microscope or a mini replica of the Thinker statue. I'm not sure. And then there's an American football helmet. And I'm like, Nick, you are in England. You play rugby. Why do you have this?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't sport.
Also of note, he's got like a mini like travel foosball table.
I clearly was not paying attention enough.
I told you I paused it for like 20 minutes.
I paused it more on the like actual Instagram and messages, I think.
Oh, I also did that. But, you know, there's also a tennis racket. Just that, like, I love his room, but like pausing it to really appreciate the set dressing was, I was like, what are you telling me about this child? I was like, what's happening here? But I love it. I especially love the extremely heterosexual twinkle lights.
Yes. And there's like a picture of like a red car.
Yes.
Which I'm guessing is like the Formula One like tie-in from like his character bio. But
maybe.
I just think it's so funny because it's like always in the shot with the twinkle lights. I'm like, these two things do not go together.
No. It's like very much the blueprint of like a stereotypical 16-year-old jock bedroom, but then with like an added layer of queerness, which is the lights.
Which is honestly perfect.
Yes. Also, just gonna say, anyone who wants to play along at home drinking game based on my notes, take a sip of your drink every time I say the phrase 100% heterosexual Nick Nelson in this episode, because it's a few times.
Well, I'm drinking wine, so what if we play it? Every time you say it, I'll take a drink.
Hang on. I'm gonna text Eddie and ask him to get me a rosé cider so that I can also drink along.
If we want to get really drunk, then we can drink every time you say that and every time I say, no one in this show is subtle. Not a single person.
I don't know if I can handle that, but I do only have 2 of my ciders, so there's not enough alcohol in my house currently. But yes, he is stalking Charlie's Instagram, which is totally something that heterosexual platonic BFFs do.
Mm-hmm. Especially the jocks.
Yes.
And so I wrote down, Charlie has 143 followers, which is more than I ever had in high school.
Same. I think that's more than I currently have.
It's probably, no, I think I might have 200.
Okay, nope, I have 167 followers. 2 more people need to follow me, and then no one else can follow me.
I have 350, which is not...
That's not bad.
Something I was expecting. I clearly do not pay attention.
I don't either.
So some of the pictures that he looks at, there's one of Charlie, Tal, Elle, and Isaac with sparklers looking adorable with text that reads, playing with fire, which I just thought was so cute.
It's adorable. It's like very much, high school freshmen, like trying to be cool on Maine. But it's like, no, we all know you're a fucking nerd.
That was like a spicy post, but it's too cute.
It's adorable and I love it. And then it's also, there's a picture of Homer's The Odyssey.
Yes.
Do we get the caption on that one? I missed it.
I did not see a caption because I think it was only a half screen. We could just barely make out what it was. And then we get the adorable kitty cat.
Yes.
Charlie side by side. Mm-hmm. Which says 90% of scientists can't tell the difference between this boy and this cat. And this post earns Charlie a full-on chuckle from Nick. He chuckles.
And I would like to say, considering that I have a master's of science and education, that as a scientist, as a woman in STEM, I cannot tell the difference.
Same photo.
It's the same photo. I make that joke all of the time. Like, simultaneously, I also make a joke. I have 2 English degrees and I don't know this grammar rule. So
then we get a photo of the hallway to the locker room. Mm-hmm. And the caption says, I hate this place.
Which, same.
Yes. God. Yes.
We get this really heartbreaking flashback where Nick is imagining himself in the hallway, hearing all of the things that I can only assume his friends said about Charlie the previous year.
Yeah, and then I can only assume that he heard. Like, I feel like these are things he remembers hearing, probably. Mm-hmm. And, like, he didn't know Charlie. He probably, like, I highly doubt that he interacted with it, but these are things that he heard said.
Yeah.
And it's like the dots are connecting, and it's heartbreaking. And Charlie's little face kills me.
He looks so scared and sad and alone, and they've animated in these sketches of these faceless bullies surrounding him, and my heart breaks.
And the lighting is all black and blue, like a bruise. It's just like, it's the animation here and the lighting and everything is very effective at setting the tone of the scene. And
also the camera work, because the camera is moving in such a way that it feels like Charlie and Nick are just so far apart.
Yeah.
And it cuts to Nick, and it's like you can see, he's calling out to Charlie, and you can tell that Nick wants to comfort Charlie. He wants to go back in time and comfort Charlie. But then there's also this little bit where I'm like, I think he's scared that Charlie thinks that Nick feels the same way.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't he? Because it's all of his rugby bros who did this to him last year.
Yeah.
And we've heard Harry still saying shit this year.
Right. And you know it comes with all the guilt of, I've heard these things, I've seen them acting this way, and I've never said, I've never stopped, actively stopped them. And
then also, it kind of, there's, the added angle of this is where his, self-discovery is really starting. And for it to start with all of this, hateful, negative stuff that he's remembering from when Charlie came out, that's got to be a massive setback.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, the show.
I know, everyone always talks about, oh my god, it's so wholesome, it's so happy, and I'm like, okay, but at the same time, it's going to stab you in the heart.
It truly is.
Several
and
times
I'm that
over.
person. Every time, I'm like, it's so sugary sweet.
Yes.
You're gonna love it. And then I'm like, there are parts, though.
I know. I was telling a friend of mine about it recently, and I was like, it's so wholesome. It's like a warm hug. Content warnings for eating disorders, depression, abusive relationships, but it's so sweet.
You're going to love it, though, I promise. And we get the black and white Heartstopper title card. The title cards, man.
Yes.
They really go the extra mile with them to
do
make them
a lot
fit
of work.
Exactly what they want you to think about the episode.
So then we see Nick. He's stopped stalking Charlie, and now he's staring at their text conversation, trying to figure out what to say to Charlie, saying thank you at the end of Meet. And his drafts that he writes out and then deletes are, "It's okay," with 2 exclamation marks.
I have a note on this.
Yes.
I managed to pause it, accidentally pause it, on his face as he finishes "It's okay" and starts to erase it. And he is not pleased with this. He is immediately ugh, I'm not sending this. Before he even finishes it.
Yeah.
So.
And then you can tell too, because he changes tone very, very clearly to,
yes,
that seems like a kind of serious situation. But then he deletes that and says, please don't talk to Ben anymore, lol.
LOL. I said, I also suffer from the LOL syndrome of just
I do too.
It goes in every message.
But then we see his face, and we know that he is not Elling OL.
Yeah.
He looks like he's about to cry. And, fair. And then he finally sends, "Are you feeling okay?"
And this whole time that he's doing all of this, Charlie is getting it on the drums. He's fucking shredding.
Yes. We often see him, I kind of started putting this together when I was watching it. We often see him drumming, not drugging. He does not drug. We often see him drumming when he's angry or upset, and it's he's taking it out on the drums, which is good for you, Charlie. That's one of the better ways to deal with it. But it reminds me a lot of the song Angry Dance from Billy Elliot. which is a musical in which Billy Elliot basically tap dances out his feelings.
What a good outlet.
Yeah.
Tap dancing. Tap dancing, drum music is a good outlet.
Yes. So Charlie gets the text and he stops drumming. And we get a quick glance at the Gay Panic lock screen.
Yes.
And we find out that it's the 1st of February, which means that it's about a month, a little bit less than a month since the start of Meet. And it's 9:16 p.m. It says 21:16, but I did the math for you all. And that is 9:16 p.m., which is too late to be drumming.
Yeah, so late.
But he needs it.
And this is where we get Sappho.
Yes.
By Frankie Cosmos. A perfect musical segue.
Yes.
Into this scene.
Mm-hmm. It's also great because it like deals with like Charlie's like interest in like classics and things like that. And Sappho, yeah. I'm not going to get into all that. I could be here for hours. If you don't know who Sappho is, look it up.
Let's be real. Anybody listening to this probably knows who Sappho is.
That's true. And if you don't, what are you doing with your life? We haven't talked about Charlie's bedroom yet. I love his room. I do have a bone to pick with him because his records are on the floor.
I noticed this, but I only noticed it on my rewatch right before we started recording, which was the 4th time that I've watched this episode in 2 days, and probably the 28th time I've watched this episode in total. So
I'm just like, why are you treating your records like this, Charlie?
I guess as a teen, though.
That's true. Teens.
But Charlie is over the fucking moon to look down and see it's Nick that has messaged him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he kind of deflects Nick's concern. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry. And Nick is worried.
Nick is like, the fuck?
He's like,
you're fine?
Fine? I'm not fine, and I just witnessed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And Charlie's face, like so annoyed, like classic teenager response.
Oh my gosh.
He's definitely not fine.
No.
Like, it's all over his face. But then he says, he texts out, yes, honestly, I'm fine. Deletes it. Says, yes, really. Deletes it. And we cut to Nick just staring at his phone, watching the little text bubble come up and go away, up and go away, which is relatable.
And you know what he does? You know what he does?
What does he do?
He puts his phone down and he pets Nellie instead. Which is a good move.
It's a good move. Nellie cuddles make everything better.
Yeah. And Charlie is just like in an anxiety spiral. He is moving around all over his bedroom. He's letting out little squeals. He has no idea what to say. And Nick decides to just go for it after a while. Do you want to read out his text?
Yeah, sure. He says, you can talk to me about it if you want. It sounds like a pretty serious situation. You don't have to if you don't want to. But I am your friend, and I do care.
But I am your friend, and I do.
As an educator, I have thoughts. Because on the one hand, I'm glad that Nick wants to be a helpful and supportive friend, right? On the other hand, Nick is 16 years old and nowhere near equipped to help Charlie through this. And really what he should do is talk to Charlie, and the two of them should go together and talk to a trusted adult. However, it's not always that simple, and I understand that, but as someone who works with teens, I have thoughts.
Okay, devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I feel like this maybe is step one to that, though, right? Like,
yes, that's also very true.
You have to get them to talk to you about it before you can, pull an adult in.
That's true. I do think also I am, thinking ahead to kind of this being a trend with Nick. And even into the comics and things that aren't we haven't seen on the show yet of, just him always wanting to be the supportive friend, the supportive boyfriend, always being there for Charlie. But there's only so much that you can do as a literal child with no experience or knowledge on how to handle a situation like this.
Right.
Yeah.
As Sarah will say later, that's a lot to put on a 16-year-old's shoulders.
This is a Sarah Nelson stan account.
Yes.
It's like most of the Adults in Heartstopper stan account, but like Mr. Ajay, Coach Singh, and Sarah Nelson especially.
Yes. Top 3. I mean, and Julio Spring from the show.
That's true. Yes.
Not that he's like terrible in the comics. He's just like a prime example of father in the show.
Yes. In the show, he is great. I think that in the books, he just kind of like lets Charlie's mom do some of the things that she does that trigger and upset Charlie.
Yeah, he's a little passive.
Yes, which I also understand, but no, Julio in the show is great. And also Mr. Farouk, who we haven't met yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited.
Anyway, we are getting way ahead of ourselves. So anyway, Charlie sees this and he tells Nick everything.
Yes. So we know that no one else knows about Ben. Mm-hmm. So this is really his chance to like have a quote unquote outsider from his chosen family group of friends to really unload all of his feelings about all this shit he's been through. And God, you just know it had to feel so good to like type it all out.
Yeah.
Finally.
Mm-hmm. And we get it in a flashback.
Yes. I have some thoughts about this.
Please. I also have thoughts, but please.
All right. So the flashback starts with Charlie in the music room playing the drums, and we see a figure like kind of from their shoulder creeping in. My note says Ben sneaks in like a fucking creeper. Red flag number 1. Yes. He just like slinks in behind him. Also, in this scene, Sebastian Croft's lips are so shiny. I need to know what gloss they used. Like, what was it like? Were they trying to make him be like, because Nick's lips are a little shiny in this episode in later parts, but not like this. This is like over the top gloss.
Like they like slathered make him like Vaseline or something.
Right. I'm like, were they like, we need to make him look like extra kissable so that there's like, I'm like, what was the thought behind this? Because all I can look at every time I watch this scene is Sebastian Croft's shiny lips.
I didn't pick up on that. He does a great job of being like a smarmy little creep in this whole scene though.
Yeah, very lizardy.
Yeah. So Ben says that he heard about Charlie coming out last term and says that it was really brave, even though we all know what really happened was that Charlie got outed.
Yes.
And so I wrote, there's so many red flags from Ben here, I don't even want to start writing them all out. Like, the way that he's, like, love bombing him with the, like, that's really brave. You're so brave for even just putting up with all the negativity. And, like, the way he, like, gently nudges Charlie's leg and is like, I'm Ben. And I'm like, you're the fucking worst is what you are. Ugh. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not great. But I do want to say Charlie is brave.
Yes.
But I hate this being the first time we hear you're really brave in the show, because I'm like, because he is really brave, but fuck you.
Yeah, and because Ben's intentions aren't good.
Yeah.
Ben's intentions aren't to reassure Charlie. Ben's intentions are to use Charlie as, you know, a plaything.
For his own, yeah.
So Charlie finishes the story and we see him say, he never actually wanted to be my boyfriend. I guess he was just using me. Sorry, I know he's your friend. And I start sobbing.
I know.
Because I'm like, you shouldn't feel bad for that.
Yeah, you have nothing to apologize for.
Yeah.
And honestly, I start crying even more when Nick is like, well, he's not anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, he is a good little rugby lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then Charlie responds, thank you for being my supportive straight friend. And again, I say, Charlie is brave.
Yes.
That is a brave move to put that out.
I do also love the little quick, like, bump the send button before I can change my mind about doing this.
Yeah.
It's so subtle. I almost missed it. And because I had rewound to, like, make sure that I had written down the exact phrase. And then I caught it and I was like, ooh, cool. Good acting choice.
Yeah, he goes for it.
Yeah.
I really wish, I want the scene of Nick getting that.
Yes.
And having to process
Give us the deleted scene. Give us the
I want that.
Right? But also at the same time, we all know what you're doing, Charlie. You are not being subtle at all.
No one in this show is subtle, ever.
No,
ever.
They're not. But no, I will say though, there are a lot of moments where it's not subtle, but it's a lot better than this in this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
This is the least subtle. Of all of the unsubtle things, this is the least subtle.
Maybe between them two, I would argue that there are some Tara Darcy scenes that are far less.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that, I hadn't thought about that angle of it. I was thinking about the rest of Charlie's flirting and also Elle asking if Tara has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we put Tara and Darcy...
I have specific Tara Darcy notes about...
Oh, yeah. We'll get there.
You guys
We'll get there. But Joe's face acting in this whole sequence, he says with his mouth very few things, but you get the whole range of emotions. From, like, the frustration of, lol, that's okay. Like, dude, what were you expecting? Actually, I'm a flaming homosexual. Like, what were you expecting him to say? Right? To, like, his, like, little smile when Nick says, if he ever comes near you, I'll kick his ass. Like, it's so cute. And he responds with a little heart. And Nick smiles.
Also, I have a note that Charlie's emojis now have the snow added in, and we haven't even gotten to it yet.
Yeah. It's perfect.
I didn't realize the first time I made that note that we hadn't gotten to the snow yet. And the snow was there already. I was like, the snow's there!
Aww.
And then I was like, wait, we haven't even gotten there yet. But I love it.
Yes.
It's like a little hint.
So then we go to Higgs. And I don't know if you noticed this, but there is a rainbow in the establishing shot of the school. And then we see Tara and Darcy.
There's so many little hidden rainbows in this show.
Yes,
and
all the
in the glares. And it's so good. But then we see Elle walking into class, and Tara and Darcy are sharing a fucking scarf.
Yes. The straightest thing on the planet. Just two gals being pals right there.
Yeah, best gal pals. And I have teacher questions for you.
Okay, I have a whole, like, half-page rant about this as well. So,
okay, good.
Please fire away.
Okay, I love that she's concerned, that she's attentive, that she picks up on this. But why is she having this discussion so loudly in the middle of class? I know when they pan out, it looks like everyone else is not paying any attention, but they're teenagers. They're fucking paying attention. Yes. Everyone heard this. Everyone clocked this. Why did you do this in the middle of class?
Yeah, I'm just gonna read my whole paragraph. I don't think I like Miss Greenwood. I definitely don't like this. This is not the kind of conversation you have in a room full of other students. It's also not really the kind of conversation I think you should have at all. A quick check-in is fine, but this feels yucky, especially when you know that this particular student just transferred from Truum because she's trans and was being bullied by students and teachers. Also, the idea of assigning someone to look after another student feels very not right to me. Maybe for elementary school kids, like giving a new student a buddy, maybe. But for older grades, for year 11, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So that's my rant. I don't like this. I do not think that this is appropriate. I think that it does a lot more harm than she thinks it will do good.
Yeah. I agree. I'm very put off by this scene every time I watch it.
Yes. And when you factor it in with the taking of the phone in Meet, I don't like her.
Yeah, it seems like she's singling her out on purpose.
Mm-hmm. And Elle says she's fine and doesn't want to bother anyone, which, like, is totally fair. But also, if this happened to me, I would be mortified. And even if I did feel like I wanted someone to, like, reach out and connect with me, I wouldn't acknowledge it. I would be horrified.
Yeah. I would probably have, especially, 16-year-old Ashley? I probably would have cried in class in front of everyone.
Oh, I would have run out. I would have gone to the nurse and I would have been like, Mom, I'm sick. Come get me. I would have completely left school for the day. Not great, Miss Greenwood. And I don't know how I feel about this deal that Miss Greenwood makes with Elle to try and make at least one new friend before half term next week. Especially with the context, which she has to know the context of why Elle has transferred. Yeah. And it just is, it feels icky. It's icky. I don't like it. If a colleague of mine did this, I would call them out on it. Like, the next time that I saw them, I'd be like, hey, why did you do that? Because that sucked. Like, maybe if it had been like, it was close to the end of the year, she's been there for several months, and this was like a one-on-one closed door situation without the, can you try to make a friend? Yeah. Like, leave the deal part out, just the check-in thing. Like, maybe, but like, this is not the way to do it, and I don't like it. Yeah, no, I don't either. But then, you can't be mad for long, because girls... Yeah, we get so Girl pretty. In Red. I have this marked as Girl in Red montage. Yes. AKA Elle's gaydar goes off. Oh, yeah. I just wrote so many iconic Heartstopper songs in this episode because there are so many of them. Yeah, this episode's a big music episode. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, we get like this montage of Elle kind of like looking at Tara and Darcy being gay. Yeah, super gay. Super gay. Like, the first cut is like Tara's like sitting on Darcy's desk, like leaning back onto her. Yeah. Which is like really gay. Yeah. Really gay. It's so gay. All of it. All of it is so gay. And she's clocking every bit of it. Every single thing. And she is starting to understand, like, okay, here's my question. Mm-hmm. Do we think that Mrs. Greenwood has also clocked this, and that's why she chose Tara when suggesting that to Elle? Or do we think that Tara's just, like, really popular? Speaking as a teacher, I wouldn't rule that out of, like, why she would have chosen Tara specifically, but I still hate it. Yeah, I'm not saying it's great. I'm just that was my thought watching it back, is like, they're not fucking subtle. Like, yeah, no, the teachers know. Oh yeah, everyone knows. But yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility, which makes it slightly less terrible, but like by a fraction of a fraction. So I still don't like it. No, I don't like it either, but I do think that that's why, personally. Then we have Charlie, Tao, and Isaac in class. Did you write down the DMs? I didn't write them down verbatim. I kind of just, like, summarized. So I have that they're discussing a possible future Mario Kart tournament, which, having read the comics first, I was like, yes! Okay, wait. Yeah. I did write them down verbatim, and one of them is very gay that I have to point out. Please. So the first one says, I mean, I thought it was, but now I don't know, and that's Nick. So I'm assuming they're talking about being good at Mario Kart, because Charlie says we're going to have
a Mario Kart tournament, aren't we? I think I flipped that.
Mm-hmm.
Nick responds anyway with 4 Ys. Anyway, I have to sleep now, which is gay with 4 Ys. No 16-year-old boy that is straight is texting their male 16-year-old friend. Anyway, I have to go to sleep now.
My note is show us the timestamps, you cowards. Because I want to know, number one, how long they've been talking. I want to know when they started this conversation, and I want to know how late it is.
Yeah. Because they talk about how late it is.
Yes, and I don't know. I love it, though, because it, like, sent me, like, back to, like, early on in a relationship when you're talking to someone and, like, the time just flies and you're just like, oh, my God, it's midnight. It's, you know, whatever. At night, and I was just like, oh, so cute.
Yeah.
But yes, totally platonic BFF behavior from 100% heterosexual Nick Nelson. Tao sees it and is displeased. And says you only need to glance at him to see that he's a massive heterosexual. Which I very much disagree with. I genuinely think the only thing that would have him exuding more bi energy is cuff jeans, Doc Martens, and an iced oat milk latte.
Give him time. Give him time.
He has a clear phone case.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah, there's a lot of bi flags.
There's a lot of bi flags. But yeah, no. He is not a massive heterosexual in any way.
No. And it's a little disappointing that Isaac agrees with Tao. However, I will say I think Isaac is just trying to get out of this conversation. Like, he's just trying to read.
Yes.
He doesn't want to be involved in this.
I also get the vibe that he's kind of playing along because he doesn't want to hear it from Tao later. Because when we get there, I have a whole rant, but Tao fucking sucks in this episode in a lot of ways. And it definitely seems like, or not definitely, we have textual evidence that Tao, Elle, and Isaac are having conversations behind Charlie's back about this. And I have to imagine in the moment, Isaac just does not want to deal with Tao's bullshit. I also don't want to deal with Tao's bullshit. And if I were also reading Naruto Volume 72, I would want to get out of this conversation as quick as possible because I have a very long manga series to finish by the next episode.
Nice. Yeah, this is definitely where Tao is starting to push that line that I like go across that line that I talked about last time, from being like the protective but supportive friend to being the like jealous and controlling friend.
Yeah.
And like I even have a note, like my note is I know I'm a Tao defender, but this is a bit much. Like, it's a bit much for me, my guy. Yeah, so this is definitely like where he starts to cross that line for me between just being like generally protective, and he's crossing over into controlling, and I'm sure he's jealous because it's been a while now. We know because of your very good math you did that he's probably feeling a decent amount of jealous at this point.
Yeah.
And it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
I made a note later that like this is really where, because I had a lot of grace and a lot of space for Tao in the last episode.
Yeah.
By the end of this episode, it's really difficult for me. And it starts here. But then Charlie, our brave, sweet little boy, says, masculine guys can be gay. And no offense, but you're not exactly the authority on working out who is and isn't gay. And like, to be fair, Tao can't even work out his own feelings about Elle, much less who is and isn't gay. But then we get, and bisexual people exist. Hell yeah, we do.
when I knew that Heartstopper was gay.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that Nick Nelson was going to be bisexual when I started watching the series. So when I heard this line spoken, I literally jumped off of my couch. My partner was cooking. We eat separate. So, like, I know I already told this story about how I ate dinner and stuff watching the first episode and kept watching. Well, he was cooking his dinner because we do separate food.
Me too.
So he's like in the kitchen. It's open concept. So here I am just like paying no mind to anything he's doing. I just jump up and I was like, yeah! I was like, yeah, we do exist!
Yes. It's, and like at this point, we don't know, like watching the show, you don't know that Nick is bi, but like just to have the sentence, or it's not even a full fucking sentence, but to have the phrase, and bisexual people exist.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that is technically a complete sentence. I'm sorry, English teacher brain. Like to have that sentence in a show. You and I both have that sticker, right?
Yes.
You showed it to me and then I bought it. Yeah. Like
I just bought a new phone case that is also.
I love it. I love it. It's so affirming. It is the best thing. Yeah. Isaac's eye roll, though.
So good. He is over it. He's like, I have already tried to leave this conversation.
You are bringing me back into it. Like, you are telling the wrong person that bisexual people exist. I agree.
He's like, I know. And honestly, I want you and Nick together. I'm just trying to read right now.
Yeah. And then Charlie does admit that Nick told him he's straight. But excuse me, Mr. Spring, that is not what happened.
My note is in all caps. He did not tell you he was straight.
He told you.
Incorrect.
You very not subtly thanked him for being your straight friend, and he didn't correct you. That is not the same thing, my good sir.
He said, LOL, that's okay. That is not.
That is not, yes, I am straight. That is, in fact, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? I'm bi as fuck.
I love that he started with LOL in that one instead of ending. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
That's like, sure, that's basically.
And Tao says that Charlie needs to get over Nick, which is from where Tao is sitting. He's not wrong. Like, we all know that rule number 1 is don't fall in love with straight people. Mm-hmm. But also, just on top of everything else that Tao is doing, it's really annoying.
It's too much. Yes. This is a bit, my note says, this is a little harsh in my most humble opinion.
Yeah. And, like, we can just see how much Charlie doesn't want to get over him. Also, just because they're just
so defeated,
having such a good connection. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you don't want to lose that.
And he's the only one that knows about Ben, so he's the only one that he can process those feelings with.
Yeah, there's so much that he would be losing. So then we go to the art room.
Yeah.
And I would like the record to reflect that on my first watch of this scene, I could not take sufficient notes because I was laughing way too hard. I love this scene. I love Mr. Ajay. It's perfect.
This is my favorite, I think, of all of the, even though my favorite quote from the show is when he says in a later episode, this is my favorite Mr. Ajay scene because it's so accurate. It's so accurate. Now that I'm an adult looking back at high school, like, yes. 100% truth coming from his mouth.
Charlie has a question. Mr. Ajay says, I am officially a beacon of learning, so fire away. And I want that on a t-shirt. So badly. I am officially a beacon of learning on a t-shirt with the Heartstopper leaves. Someone make it. I will pay you.
I feel like the back should say, so fire away.
Oh my God. Yes. And Charlie wants to know how to stop liking a straight guy. The question for the ages. I thought you had a boyfriend. It's so good. And Fazaya Macchiate is just killing it with everything in this scene. The line delivery, the body language, the sass. It's an Emmy.
Chef's kiss.
Emmy.
Yeah. Yes. I love, wow, being a teenager is terrible.
Yes. Not something that I have said to a student, but I've gotten close. I also do love, though, when I was a teenager and I had a crush on a straight boy, I just repressed it and suffered.
Yeah, very good. I love that he doesn't, he never sugarcoats it for Charlie. He's just so real, man, this is just what it is. You might as well go ahead and get used to it.
Yeah, it's great. And it's just, the exact right amount of, patience and empathy and the exact right amount of, sass.
Yeah.
It's
perfect.
This is what tough love is.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of people say that other things are tough love, and it pisses me off.
Yeah. This is good intention.
Love, right?
Good intention, tough love. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of people use tough love to say things to describe things that are not maybe good intentioned.
To justify borderline verbal abuse.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Or sometimes just outright outright verbal abuse, but
yeah. Yeah, depending. So then we cut to Elle walking into the classroom, and Tara is running behind her, letting her know that she has dropped her pencil case, which is from Paper Chase, but she painted the little flowers on it.
Which I love so much.
It's so cute. And Tara, is like, that's great. I can't do art.
I can't even draw stick figures, which, same.
I feel that.
I couldn't even draw the shoe potato that comes in a couple of scenes.
No!
I don't think I could even do that. Not in a couple of scenes, a couple of episodes.
No, yeah. I literally have had that exact same thought about the shoe potato. I've literally thought that. I don't think I could do that. So Tara invites her to have lunch with them.
Yeah.
In the canteen. Did you write that down? I was like, is that British?
I would assume it's a British thing. I've heard that before in other British shows, so I've assumed.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because my next note is that Elle is worried that Miss Greenwood put Tara up to it. And that is a big part of the reason why I hate that conversation with Miss Greenwood. Because now someone is genuinely reaching out to Elle, and she can't even trust it.
And back to the point that I said, who's to say that Tara, I don't know. I haven't decided what I want to call her yet. Yeah. American Tara, British Tara. Maybe she heard that conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's so difficult to know. And bad Miss Greenwood. Bad.
Not great.
But then Tara goes to sit with Darcy, who didn't finish her project, which is due 4th period.
But she's not going to lie about it to her anymore.
She's not going to lie about it at this point. No, she has no shame. Which,
and the way she's looking at her too is please don't yell at me, please. But I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's just, you have the pleasure to have in class lesbian and the chaos lesbian.
Yes. Yes, that is a perfect description of them. Yes. Also, I want to point out that whoever sits behind Elle has a fuzzy, neon, multicolored pencil case that I need in my life. I don't carry pencils, but I do carry makeup, and perhaps it could be a great makeup bag. I need it. I love it. I want it. If you know where to get it, send me the link.
I'm sure there's a website somewhere. I remember that there was a website for Gossip Girl and the Vampire Diaries of shop their looks. And it was all thousands of dollars worth of clothes for one scene.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I'm
that
sure
there's
it's like an $80 pencil case.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something similar. I'm sure that you can like go to like Amazon or Target.
Probably.
And get something comparable.
Yeah. It's beautiful, and it steals my eye several times in this episode.
I missed it. I was too busy staring at the blatant homosexuality coming from our iconic gal pals, Tara and Darcy. So then we cut to lunchtime, and Tara and Darcy call her over right away. They were like, hey, we're over here. Come sit with us. And Darcy announces that Tara said you had no friends. Which Tara's objects to.
Immediately, she's like, I didn't say that. Also, when Elle walks in, we see the pretty, like, teal and orange juice glasses with straws in them or whatever. Those colors are some of my favorite combination of colors. I remember specifically all of my like art projects and shop projects. I have a wooden dreidel that I made in shop it's those colors. That's like one of my top. So anytime we get to see the Higgs canteen, I am visually pleased because I love that color combination.
Yeah, it's a good one. Truum has a chin length or above rule for hair, and Elle got suspended multiple times because of this.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Georgie, explain, please.
Yes, please. Is that a thing? Also, before that, we get introduced to Monster Munch.
We do get introduced to Monster Munch. What is Monster Munch?
I looked up the first time I watched it because I was so intrigued. But basically, what it is it's like a Funyun, kind of, but it looks like it's shaped like a little monster. Okay. They are aimed at children and widely consumed in just the UK. So it's not uncommon for us to not know what it was. But the flavors include roast beef, flamin' hot, and pickled onion.
Okay.
So they are like very much, it's like instead of being an O-shaped Funyun, it's like a little monster-shaped crunchy snack.
Okay.
But when Darcy says Monster Munch and goes to give it to Elle is very much like, absolutely the fuck not, but I don't want to say that because I'm new here and I want to be your friend. So she like hesitates to take it. She's like, okay, thank you. And then sits it down on the table and never actually eats it.
I missed that.
I love that. But yes, Kizzy's delivery of hair length like gets me every time.
Kizzy. I love everyone.
They're Kizzy's also
great.
Good.
Yes. But yeah, it's crazy, and I need a British person to please explain to me how this is a thing.
Yes.
But then Elle admits that Higgs is definitely a lot less stressful, apart from the whole not having friends issue.
So sad.
Breaks my heart.
Relatable.
Yes.
Relatable content.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
This is when Tara says, everyone's pretty nice. Just don't listen to anything that Darcy says, or she'll have you taking part in her lunchtime games of American football in the science corridor. And I need that deleted scene.
I need it.
Want to be a part of Darcy's lunchtime games of American football in the science corridor. Give it to me.
I'm also imagining them using a rugby ball instead of an American football because they're like similarly shaped. Yes. It's hilarious. I love it. I want it. I need it.
I need to know. I want to, as someone who, I was in color guard. I understand football. I don't follow it, but I understand it. I want to hear Darcy's, I want to know her rules. I want to know. I want to hear her explanation of American football.
Yeah. I just want to see it. I understand nothing of American football. One of my friends in college was a cheerleader for the football team. and also the basketball team. But I understand basketball. But my husband, who I was dating at the time, played football in high school, and literally I would just lean over and be like, so what's happening? What? Who? Okay. All right. So that's a down. What's a down again? Like, it does not compute. No matter how many times someone explains it to me, I've been at Super Bowl parties, just like, what is happening? Who? I am here for the free chicken wings. Like,
yeah. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm an expert or that I understand a lot of the technicality that goes on in the game, but I can tell why we're cheering and who's winning and what's going on usually. If there's like a penalty for something, I'll be like, wait, what? Why? But I can keep up with it. Okay. You know? It took me a while, but being at every football game for several years of high school, I kind of picked up on a little bit of it. But yeah, I just would really love to hear Darcy specifically explain the rules.
It would be so chaotic and so inaccurate and
perfect.
Yeah, someone leaves that bleeding every time. And at least half of that is Darcy.
Yes. I feel like Darcy is like the Band-Aid lesbian. Like the one that's just got them like all over her shins and her elbows, like everywhere all the time.
And then Elle asks how long Tara and Darcy have been friends, and they've been best gal pals for 5 years.
Is the math confusing to you?
No. It took me a minute. They're counting year 7 as the first year because they're in year 11. So year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Because I was like, are they supposed to be a year older? But then that doesn't explain why they're in class with Elle if Elle is a year 11.
Yeah.
But if they're counting year 7, that tracks.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
I've had this conversation with a couple of people and never landed on that. So I'm excited to go back after this and be like, I have answers.
Yeah. But yeah, they're best gal pals. And nothing more.
Best gal pals. Which is not subtle. And the way that Darcy says it is not subtle. And the way that Tara reacts is not subtle.
And also,
none of it is subtle.
Like, like, we know, like, if we're kind of saying that this is, like, in the, like, 2021, 2022 kind of, like, time space. Like, gal pals has been a thing in the queer cultural zeitgeist for a while. Yeah. And, like, so they know what they're doing because they know that Elle is queer. They know, like...
But I wonder if it's not... Because later when it does get revealed, they do seem like they weren't really expecting her to pick up on it that quickly. Yeah. I wonder if they're not just so comfortable with heterosexuals that they could make those jokes and not be picked up, that it's like kind of second nature, and that's why
Elle's able to clock it.
Tara was like, the way that she reacted was like, you can't fucking do that around this person because let's be real, Tara Jones is intuitive. She knows what's going on around her. She's like, she knew that Elle was going to pick up on that. I don't think that Darcy thought about it before she said
it. I actually originally was like, in this scene, like, because right off Darcy's like, so Tara said you have no friends. And like, I was thinking about some other things and like other points where Darcy doesn't read things well. And I was like, autistic coded Darcy?
Yeah, I had that thought too.
Autistic coded Darcy and autistic coded Tao. Those are kind of my two theories at the moment.
Yeah. There's a big Nick Nelson autism following out there.
I don't see it as much as I see the others.
I agree. I'm interested to explore it further.
Yes.
But definitely straight away, Darcy and Tao are the two
that I read.
And maybe even a little Charlie.
Yeah. This is what happens when you put two neurodivergents in a room. Because they just read everyone as neurodivergent.
my God. Everyone's gay and everyone's neurodivergent.
Yes. But like actually though.
Yes.
So then we go to Truum. And Nick is showing Charlie pictures of Nellie, which I refuse to believe that this is the first time that Nick is showing pictures of Nellie to Charlie.
No.
But Charlie is acting like this is the first time that he's ever seen a picture of Nellie Nelson.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out that when it pulls away from the screen that shows the two of them, they're sitting so far away from each other that it's like jolting to see, coming from someone who's seen it so many times at this point, where like closer to the, like just pay attention to the desk at their closeness from here on out, because this is episode 2 and they're like a foot and a half apart from each other, not touching. There's a huge space between them, and I just think that we should, even in this episode, there's going to be times, but specifically at the desk in front of their schoolmates.
Yes, I think it's important
from here on.
I'm especially intrigued. Like thinking about Kiss, I'm especially intrigued. Okay, and so Nick invites Charlie over to meet Nellie on Saturday.
So, here's a question. Do you think one of two outcomes? Is this Nick just being a pure soul who's like, oh my God, your parents only have animals. I have an animal. You should play with my animal. Everyone should have animal time. Or is this Nick who has been secretly pining for a month now? How can I get Charlie to my house? How can we hang out one-on-one? How can, oh my God, you like my dog? Do you want to come to see my dog at my house? And has he been waiting for his moment to be like, aha, strike? Or is this just him being a genuinely, because he is genuinely just like a pure soul. So what do you think about this scene?
Option B.
Ooh.
I think that this was like, oh, I'm going to use this as an excuse to invite you over. I also think it's a pretty weak excuse. I think that you should have just led with Mario Kart tournament. Like you had an in already, dude. I think that this is like, I want to spend more time with you. This is an opportunity and I am taking it.
Yeah, I also think that he's been waiting and this was like strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly.
And Charlie is, again, not subtle, being like blush, 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 like breathless, like, yeah, I think I'm free, like blush, blush, smile, not subtle, my guy.
So I need everyone to know that when I was typing up my notes, I went to put in the like heading of Saturday to like signal the like shift in scene. But in a beautiful Freudian slip, I typed Saturday. Gay.
I knew it was going to be.
And I have chosen to keep it for posterity.
Yes. This is when we get Charlie lacing up his shoes on the stairs. And this is something that Cassandra, our lovely Cassandra, who did our theme song.
Yes.
I told her about this show, and we video chatted about it back and forth. And she sent me a very concerned message about this scene that has now confused me, and I have more questions for Georgie. Did you notice the way in which he ties his shoelaces?
No.
It's not any way that I've ever tied my laces. I've done it Alyssa, I screen recorded this and did it in slow motion so that I could see how he was doing this. He like has the one loop, everything's tied, and then he tucks the end of the shoestring back in to make the other loop.
Interesting.
And I'm curious, is it like regional? Is it a UK thing? Are there people in the US who tie their shoes like this? I don't know, but I need to know. If you tie your shoes like this, please tell me, and also send me a tutorial because I can't figure it out. So there's also a scene later that Nick does his shoes like this too.
Okay. So this is going to be the reel for the episode, right?
Yes, I'll do it over and over again. Even if it's a bonus one, we'll make a thing about this. I need to know. And we can ask the there's another Heartstopper podcast that has finished season 1 already. And I connected with them on Instagram, and they are both from the UK. So I will also have to ask them, like, do y'all tie your shoes like this? I just need to know.
Yes, just bonus episode with all of the British people.
Yeah, everybody.
So we get Tori in this scene. She's just leaning on the wall in her dressing gown, sipping on her diet lemonade, watching Charlie like obsess over his hair and all of this stuff. And she knows exactly what is going on.
He says he's going to a friend's house. Mm-hmm. She says, Tao. And our boy Charlie, who cannot hide his emotions,
a sweet summer child,
he says, no, his name is Nick. And I'm like, if you didn't want her to know, you were going about this the wrong way.
Yeah. Oh my God,
and she just looks at him. Her face is just like, seriously.
Iconic big sister Tori Spring.
I love it. And I love her robe.
Oh, yeah. It's
so
great.
comfy.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Her have fun at Nick's, and she turns. It's so good.
It's great. She's great.
She's great. I said this before we started recording, but I'll say it for everyone else too. I want a Solitaire spin-off. Netflix. Talking to you.
But Alice needs a nap first, please, Netflix.
Yes. We can wait.
Yes. So then we get Charlie walking up to Nick's, and we get another rainbow lens flare.
Mm-hmm.
On like the door. And then it cuts to like a close-up of Charlie going to ring the bell, and he's shaking. He's so nervous.
My note is Charlie hesitates. He's so nervous to ring this doorbell just for Nick to immediately clock that he's had a very minor haircut.
Yes. I wrote, Nick notices Charlie's haircut, touches and plays with Charlie's hair, which is completely 100% heterosexual behavior.
Heterosexual, yes. I will take a sip of wine.
Yes. Oh, no, but my favorite, though, is then Charlie is like, is it bad? And Nick says, no, it looks great.
Yeah.
The bi panic in this child's face.
I know.
It's classic,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. He's definitely thinking every single word.
Like the self-censoring gets so intense from here on out.
And he says, you better come in, or Nellie will think that we are going on a walk.
That poor dog already thinks they're going on a walk.
To which, as dog owner, I say, you can't say the word walk,
I thought the same thing.
You have to spell it. We all know this. If you've said it, it's too late. It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. And they go play Mario Kart.
Yeah. And they are flirting.
So much. Woo! Charlie's already won 5 or 6 games. But he claims that he's going easy on Nick.
And we don't even have Ollie as an excuse in this one.
Yeah, we don't. He's just a fucking nerd. Also, I paused it because I was curious. Charlie is playing as King Boo, and Nick is playing as Toad.
Nice. I thought about pausing it, and then I was like, nah, Alyssa will find this information out. I'll just let her do the video game stuff.
I'm very glad that I have carved out in this episode 2.5 a niche.
Yeah, I was like, she's got this.
Yes. Nick doesn't understand how Charlie is so good at Mario Kart, but he also didn't finish that far behind.
They were close, right?
They were close. I replayed it 3 times because I was like, wait, let me just double check. Because I was not 100% confident that I had mapped the correct character. I was making sure that I had mapped the correct side of the screen to the correct character. But But also I was like, you know what? Sometimes people are fucking awful and they sit on the opposite side of the couch as their split screen. I hate you. For those of you listening, Ashley just pointed to herself.
But okay, let me explain that I'm never going to be the one that's like, we should play video games. I'm going to be the one that gets handed a controller and I am where I'm at.
But see, but
I'm
that's
not
why
moving myself.
I'm the one who's like, no, you have to scooch over. I will make you move. I will physically push you with my body. I will move your body with my body.
Okay. Editor Bree is also like, yeah. Okay, so to be fair, I'm not a game person. So
okay, so note to self: when Ashley comes for Taylor Swift, do not suggest Mario Kart.
Which Alyssa got us tickets for. No, I'll play. You'll just have to tell me to move, and I'll move. Is that people don't tell me to move that I play with typically, so that's me on the other side. And then I'm confused. I'm the one that gets confused because I didn't move, and then I'm the one that's like, "What character am I? I don't know." Like, it's bad.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
But so I was like, let me just replay it and see who wins because I know Charlie wins. So then I can have 100% confidence that I've said which character is playing which side of the screen. And yeah, they're not very far behind.
Yeah, it's super close. And this is when the flirting gets really intense.
You get to be good at real sports. I get to be good at fake ones. But then I have some notes here.
Yeah.
Nick says Charlie is good at everything and that he is a proper little nerd. And apparently the criteria to be a, quote, proper little nerd, end quote, is being good at video games, being good at literally all school subjects, but especially math, playing the drums, befriending dogs, and being good at sports. Which for Charlie is running so fast.
Yeah.
I disagree. As a nerd.
Yeah, that's some interesting criteria.
Yeah. I mean, like, playing the drums, I feel like of the cool instruments, it's definitely the nerdiest. Because, like, drums, you can be in a band, and it's cool, but, like a rock band, but you can also be like in the marching band. It's like,
but in my experience, the percussion were kind of, in my experience, the cool kid assholes that got into band because they wanted to play drums. Like nobody who was an actual nerd was a drummer.
Yeah. Okay. I knew a couple of drummers in the like school band who were nerds.
I was in band for 1 year.
Okay.
And that's because I wanted to play the snare drum.
Oh.
That's why I wanted to start band. Not saying I'm cool or anything.
Yeah.
But because clearly it never happened. But it was the first one to fill up, and I'm an H, and it was in alphabetical order.
Ugh.
And so that was the only interest, like that was my only interest, and I didn't know it was going to be like that. So I got put on the spot, like they just called your name and were like, what instrument, and they were like, well, the drums are taken, and I was like, okay, and they're like, you have to pick something else, like right now. And so I chose saxophone because my only friend in the class had chosen saxophone.
Okay.
I was horrible, and I quit after the first year because the director was really mean and like threw his little sticks at people. Like
That's not nice.
He got fired after a while, but it was a whole but so I feel like playing the drums in high school is like there's a line that you cross. I don't feel like Charlie was ever in marching band. I think he was like a solo drummer, which makes that's like a different cool factor than being in the band.
But like I don't think it makes him a nerd.
No,
it's not a nerdy instrument.
But you know what does make him a nerd is trying to do Nick's homework in episode 1.
Oh, yes. No, I am not disagreeing that Charlie Spring is a nerd. Charlie Spring is a fucking nerd. I am disagreeing with Nick Nelson, with Rugby King Nick Nelson's perception of what a nerd is.
But these are all the things he likes about Charlie.
That's true.
And he's rolling in this excuse to tell Charlie all the reasons he likes him is because he's a nerd.
Yeah.
But these are just the reasons he's clocked as to why he likes Charlie so much.
Charlie is so flirty in this scene, and it's so much better. Like, the stark contrast between, like, the way he's like, stop! And he, like, slams his hand over Nick's mouth and, like, pushes him down. I'm like, you are children.
You're in his bed.
I know, I'm like, you are children. This is a family-friendly show. But... like, contrasting that with the thank you for being my supportive straight friend. It's night and day. It's not subtle, but it's a lot smoother.
I think that this scene specifically is such an indication of how well that they fit together naturally and are comfortable with each other naturally without even trying, because we know how anxious Charlie is. We know that he is shaking in his fucking boots to be sitting on the end of Nick Nelson's bed at this point in time. However, he still puts his hand over his mouth and lays him down in his bed, which is in all caps and bold in mine. Lays back on his bed. Like, that is a move.
It's a move.
And there's no awkwardness.
It's just natural. And then it starts snowing.
Death by cuteness.
Death by cuteness. They both run outside, and Dance With Me starts to play. Yes. And it's been stuck in my head all day.
That scene and that song won an award. It won Best Musical Moment at the MTV Movie and TV Awards. As it fucking should have.
This is the first time we get Charlie in Nick's blue hoodie, which kind of is like a recurring thing in the comics. Although I have Charlie, a question.
When he puts it on.
No, go ahead. No, you go, because my question is later.
So when Nick hands him the hoodie, Charlie says, "It's a bit big." And then he puts it on, and Nick waits like a fraction of a second and says, "That one looks good." Which is like, we know why. Little one, like, half second of hesitation is because he was like, oh shit.
Bye panic.
Yeah.
And that, I have a question, because how long was it snowing before they noticed that it was snowing? Because like, there's enough snowfall that they like leave footprints.
Yeah, and they make snow angels.
Yeah. How long was it snowing?
I feel like it was supposed to, based on the quantity of snow that was falling, I feel like it was supposed to be like a fast, hard snow.
But like the snow that
probably
is falling,
like 10 or 15 minutes is my guess.
Okay.
To like get a like base coat before because they were looking at the TV screen playing video games.
Yeah, that's true. Like 5 or 6 games of Mario Kart is not
before they looked out the window. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I call this the falling love in the snow montage.
Yeah.
Nick is again playing with Charlie's hair.
Constantly. Cannot keep
Which, like, hand. I will say, like, as someone with curly hair is a massive pet peeve of mine. So every time, like, there's this, like, war inside of me of, like, it's so cute, but also, don't touch his hair.
Don't touch it. Yeah. Yeah. And when they lay down to do their side-by-side, because we do get to see the scene where Charlie is laid down by himself doing snow angels, and Nick takes the photo that we later see Charlie posts. But then Nick lays down beside him, and again, zero fucking space at this point. Space. And there's like no awkwardness or anxiety between the two of them.
I made a note that said, if this were 2012 and I were still on Tumblr, like, my Heartstopper blog would totally be snow angels and selfies. Because, like, I wrote that as a note just to, like, on my first watch to be like, this is what is happening in this scene, is they're making snow angels and they're taking selfies. So I wrote snow angels and selfies, and I was like, that is a fucking 2012 Tumblr URL if ever I've heard one. So if the official Why Are We Like This Tumblr gets changed to snow angels and selfies, that's why. But I'm also not going to do that because...
Maybe down the road.
Maybe. As an Easter egg.
See. I'm not going to rule it out that it's going to end up bad because it is perfect.
Also, just like that's not really how it works anymore. Like, I mean, it's not really how like people name their blogs anymore. So, but it's like very much like a peak 2012 fandom Tumblr thing.
Love it. Love it. Also, we get this, like ending part to this scene where the music is playing. We can't really hear what they're saying, but they're talking. And I want to know, was there written dialogue for this? Or is it all just like ad-lib? Like, yeah.
Either way, I want it.
I would love to have the scene just as is without music so I could hear what they're saying.
Give us the raw footage.
Please.
And then also we have like the beautiful, like the animated snow as well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
It's beautiful. And then we cut to Oscar winner Olivia Colman.
Also, I don't think, tell me, we live in, for people who don't really know the U.S., if you don't, we live in very different parts of the U.S. Do y'all have a large portion of like tiny glass milk bottles?
No.
We don't. I don't think I've ever seen a glass jar of milk except for at the local farms where you can buy it directly. But if anything from the store is going to be a plastic bottle. So to see
or like
his
carton.
Yeah, well, even here it's mostly plastic.
Well, because I drink oat milk because gorgeous girls have lactose intolerance, and I am a gorgeous girl. But so I drink oat milk, and that comes in the cartons, and I've definitely seen cartons of like regular milk.
Yeah. I guess it's just not as popular here. There's some almond milk that comes in a carton. Oat milk is kind of hard to find where I'm at. I was literally just with a friend going through several stores trying to find some oat milk.
I would die.
So it's just like, it was weird. It took me out of it, to see him using the little splash of milk from a jar, like a glass.
I didn't even clock that. I was kind of lingering on the monogrammed mug with the N. And I was like, N for Nick or N for Nelson? Whose mug is this?
I've never thought about that. I just always assumed it was for Nick, but you're right. It could totally be for Nelson.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'm like, is it Nick's mug or is it Sarah's or is it David's? I hope it's not David's.
Wow. Or maybe they have a set of N mugs for Nelson.
I know.
Who knows?
So interesting. But yeah, Sarah Nelson totally knows what's going on. Like, I love she says that she likes Charlie and that Nick is more himself around Charlie. And I have so many emotions and thoughts about this moment and Kit Connor's acting in this moment. And I'm crying and I'm like, I'm not even joking. Like, my eyes are getting watery just thinking about it.
This scene, there's a handful of scenes between Sarah and Nick that mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. And I said this I did like a season overall type of episode with Slayerfest for their Patreon about this. And I brought this scene up and how I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong. I said this on there too. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like for a lot of us growing up at different ages, it doesn't have to be as old as he is. A lot of the times it happens when you're younger. But there is that like interaction that you start to have with someone, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe a love interest, who knows, but where it does kind of like awaken you a little bit and have you start to think like, am I doing these things because I like it? Or am I doing these things because this is what I'm used to? This is what I've been influenced to do. Am I doing this because I'm comfortable in this space, or am I doing this because I actually like it? And I think that this is a moment for him where he really starts to be like, well, shit, even my mom is saying, like, I'm different when I'm with him because I am more comfortable in my own skin and in doing the things I like with him than versus being with the rugby lads, for instance.
And I think, too, it speaks so much to Tao's perception of Nick versus Charlie's perception of Nick, because Tao only sees rugby lad Nick Nelson. And only from a distance. And, you know, but Charlie has never really seen that. Charlie sees the real Nick in a way. And it's like, it's just innate. Like from like the start of their like friendship, like Nick never had to like put up a facade. It's just like, you can just feel it with Charlie that like, this is what's right. This is who I am. And
it feels safe.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. And it hurts.
Yeah.
Like, I just, like, yeah, it's, and, like, it's the way that, I mean, obviously, I have to imagine, like, if I were ever to, like, talk to Kit Connor, I'd be like, okay, but working, like, all of these, like, one-on-one scenes with Olivia Colman must be so intimidating, because she's incredible, but he fucking brings it every single time, and, like, the way, like, the face journey that he goes on, where he's, like, realizing it. I mean, he does this so many times in this episode. It's amazing. But, like, realizing it and then, like, the panic.
Processing it, yeah.
It's incredible.
Truly.
How much
and
both
like,
Kit and Joe do with their faces in this episode.
Yes. And, like, how he, like, holds his breath at the right amount of, like, just the right amount of time in certain scenes and, like, lets out his answer with his breath. Like, it's just fucking perfect every time.
So good.
So then we cut to Nick walking on the sidewalk with a spring in his step.
Boo.
He's so happy. He's so happy.
It's so cute. Wait, do you mean Charlie?
No, we cut to Nick walking up to the school gate.
Right, okay. My brain just kind of, like, farted a bit, so.
That's okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And, like, he's with his friends, his, like, year 11 friends. And Harry's there, and Imogen's there, who is a new character, and who we meet in this scene. Nick is very pensively staring at his phone. Imogen is very thirstily staring at Nick.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. She's, like, hanging out in the back with, like, Ben and Harry, which...
Yeah.
But, yeah, she's staring at Nick while he is staring at his phone, texting Charlie.
Yes. And he's, like, writing out a text to see if Charlie wants to hang out again.
He said, so, with 4 or 5 O's, like, I was wondering if you want to hang out this weekend. And he hesitates before sending it just long enough for Imogen, Miss Queen of Confidence, to come over.
I texting.
Love her so much. I will say my first go, I was, like, immediately, like, no, go away.
I actually wrote down, like, a whole thing about Imogen because, like, at this point on November 19th, 2022, I love Imogen. But I needed to, like, I wanted to kind of go back to the mindset of, like, how I felt on my first few watches when I didn't like her. And I was actually thinking about it. It's, like, the way, like, how nosy she is in this scene. And also the fact that the first two people that we see her talking to are Harry and Ben. Like, we already hate the two of them from the first episode. So it's very interesting the way that they introduce her and, like, the arc that she goes on.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, my first impression of her was not good. But I do, at this point, having seen the show countless times, love her.
Yeah, I love her too. My girl cannot take a hint. No. This is hint number 1, straight out the gate, that he is not interested. But boy, does it just...
I can't wait to talk about her in like the next few episodes, because
it's gonna be good. The next episode specifically, I have some good Imogen. I wish that I had that type of confidence when I was that age.
We all?
Because man
would have made life a lot easier
or harder. I mean, really,
who knows? Yeah. So she loudly announces, when he says he won't tell her what he's doing, she loudly announces that he's definitely chirpsing someone. Had you heard that term before? Because I hadn't. I had to look it up.
No, it makes me think of like tweeting, maybe like chirpsing birds, Twitter. No. I don't know, but no, it's not something I'd heard.
So like initially, based on the like way that the group reacted, I thought it was like sexting or something, and that she was being like, you know, like trying to like embarrass him, but it just means like flirting with someone, which, I mean, at that age, is embarrassing, I guess. If you're not the one telling people you're doing it. Exactly.
Like, it could be, Like,
it was like, her tone is. I literally wrote, I guess that might be scandalous to a group of 16-year-old boys. Yeah. But then he deletes the text, and he is sad, and I am sad.
Yeah. This is like the one point that I had to bring this up right now, but like, we know that Sebastian Croft got brought back for season 2. Mm-hmm. Do we think that he'll have new scenes, or do we think they'll all be flashbacks?
I'm wondering.
There's no way to know, really.
Yeah, he has, was thinking about it. I know. I'm like, I think for me, it's more like, what do I want? Because it's really hard to like say based on what we have in season 1 and the comics. It's really hard to say, because like Ben's story arc is done. But like in the show, his story arc has come to a conclusion. I don't know what more they could do with him without trying to give him a redemption arc that I don't want.
Because you have not read Solitaire.
No.
He's in Solitaire.
Okay.
I don't know how much you want me to give away.
I want to keep it pure for at least 3 more weeks, apparently.
We'll leave it. We'll reopen this discussion after you
reconvene, yes.
Solitaire.
Okay. Interesting.
So, then we cut to the rugby pitch. And Charlie is watching from the sidelines as the reserve while they play their little match. And Tao comes up.
But first, in this moment, right, I see Charlie watching from the sidelines, very much in love with Nick. Yeah. I paused the fucking show in the middle because I had this very vivid image in my brain of an American high school AU, and I have this all written out, so I'm reading off of my notes right now, right? But I had this beautiful image of an American high school AU where Nick is the varsity quarterback, and Nick is just like, you know, his boyfriend, and they've been going out for a while, but it's like the fall after the Paris trip, so Nick's newly out. It's all, and so Nick is finally at a place where he can ask his boyfriend to wear his jersey to the game. I paused the fucking episode to write a 270-word fanfic of this little scene.
It's very cute, and everyone should go read it.
Yes, we'll link it in the show notes. But I just needed everyone to know that, because like I could not get it out of my brain. I had to stop what I was doing and write this fic.
As you should have. Yes. As I said in our story earlier, as you should have.
Our friend Nicolette saw me tweet about it, and she was like, how does one pause Heartstopper? And I'm like, when you have a very vivid image in your mind of a fan fiction that needs to come into existence at this exact moment, But yeah, I'm very proud of
sure.
it. It's the first fan fiction I've written in about 10 years. And I love it.
Amazing. Amazing. Get back on that horse. Fill us with content.
I do have like 3 more ideas in this same like vein. Like one of like him going to the game, one of them at the dance. There may or may not be a promposal idea.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's standing there lovingly watching Nick score most of the points as he tells Tao.
Yes.
Tao comes up and he says, I actually wanted to talk to you about Nick. To which I scream, read the room, Tao. This is not the place to have this conversation. This is obviously a movie night conversation. This is not a let me go see my friend at his scrimmage fucking practice game conversation.
Yeah. I did note that Tao appears Doc Martens first. And understands nothing, which, I mean, fair. Who does?
Also, this is another case in which the animation of the lines and turning it into like a comic style really works for me. Mm-hmm. I think this is a great use of that.
Yes, I liked it a lot here. So in this moment, Charlie announces that he thinks Nick isn't straight. And he says, obviously, I'm not getting my hopes up, but I just think maybe there's a chance. Except, everything about your face and your voice and your body language tells me that you are, in fact, getting your hopes very up. Your hopes are taller than Nick.
Yeah. Fucking oak tree hopes at this point.
Oh, yeah. Like, in the stratosphere, bud.
And Tao can tell, like his face crumbles because he has come here
with bad news
and is hearing this first, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And this is so high school.
It is.
Like, this is so high school. Like, there's so many assumptions being made. This is just like telephone game hell.
Oh, yeah. Tao heard that Nick likes a girl. And the way that Tao heard this is that he took it upon himself to do some digging over their half-term break because he doesn't want Charlie to get hurt. And I have feelings, and they are not good ones. But so he messaged Otis, who he knows from the school play, and asked if Nick was going out with anyone because I might have a friend who is interested, which we've all been there. We've all either been the person asking that for our friend or been the one asking our friend to ask someone. We've all been there. It's very high school.
Or been the one asking that about themselves and saying it was a friend.
Oh, yeah. Just, all of the things. My problem with it here is that he didn't consult Charlie about it. There was no, it was like a massive betrayal of trust because even though Tao didn't tell Otis, I think Charlie is interested or anything like that, it's still this like really big betrayal of trust. Mm-hmm. To do this without getting permission. And I feel like hiding behind the guise of well, I don't want you to get hurt is such a shitty cop-out in this moment. Because he knows Charlie's going to be upset and he, wants it to be at Nick or Tara and not at him.
I struggle with this because I do think Tao had good intentions.
I just
based on him specifically, not other people who have done similar things in my life didn't have the best intention. But I think in this instance, he did have good intentions. Mm-hmm. We have to remember that Isaac and Elle weren't really there for the worst of the bullying, according to canon. So it was just Tao. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot to put on yourself, and so he doesn't want to, have to go through that again. Yeah. So it is a little bit selfish in the fact that he doesn't want to feel that burden again of having to be the only one there. But he also needs to remember that he's not the only one there anymore. There's a group of them. Charlie has a support network now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a fine line he's walking, and he's not walking it well.
Yeah. I think, too, that my opinion is colored by what happens next. Because I hate this. Because Tao pulls out his phone, and we learn that Tao, Elle, and Isaac have a group chat that Charlie is not in. Mm-hmm. And this is, as a person with anxiety, my worst nightmare come to life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if Charlie knew this, it would break him. Like, I hate it so much. And, like, I feel like if Tao, kind of like in the first episode, he was just, like, texting Elle, that'd be one thing, right?
This is one, right?
Yeah. But to start a chat and intentionally exclude Charlie so that you can talk about him. And, like, I have to assume that this was started to talk about Charlie's crush on Nick. I don't like it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I also, like, suffer from a lot of anxiety, and this would fully destroy me for, like, I would have to have several therapy sessions about this if I found out. So, and that's me now as a 31-year-old.
Yeah.
If it was me then, before I really even understood that I had anxiety, that I just, because I didn't at that age know, like, really understand my own mental health.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine what that would have been like to find out that all of my friends had a chat that I was not included in.
It hurts just to think about. And so the messages that we see in this group chat are mostly Tao, which is also telling, especially given the, like, one not Tao response that we see. So we see previous messages that say that Tao says, "We are useless." And then, "Can we just get him a cat? He loves cats." And then Elle says, "His parents would hate you, ha ha ha." Which, is accurate. And I think also is just Elle's way of being like, dude, stop.
Shut up. Yeah.
I feel like neither Elle nor Isaac were consulted about the formation of this chat and don't want to be there, but also don't want to leave each other, like, don't want to abandon the other.
Right.
And then Tao says, "Damn it, don't worry, we'll think of something." And then now he's adding, "Emergency Charlie situation, you two free this evening." Ugh.
Which, like, who gave you the authority to say it was an emergency?
Yeah.
And I just feel like, yeah, you're right. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm a Tao defender. This episode is not his best.
No, it's not.
There's not a lot to defend here.
It's so hard to be generous at this point with, like, what he's doing. Ugh. So then we get
very heavy-handed.
Yeah, so we get this intervention at Tao's house, and Tao's only good moment in this episode. In which he dubs himself Charlie's token straight friend. Which speaks to me deeply because, I feel like a lot of media likes to, like, put the token gay friend,
yes,
and stuff, and I'm like, no, you have never met a queer person in your life. It's always like an army of queer people and the one token straight person.
Yeah.
Usually,
like, one good one you can find.
Yes. And, like, usually that person is dating one of the members of the group, and that's the only reason they're there.
Or, like, is their very best friend.
Yes. Like, has, like, a very deep emotional connection for a long-standing thing. Like, it's someone who is adopted into the friend group as part of a package deal with a queer person.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I love my husband. He is this person.
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, yeah, all my queer friends are like, "Zach is so cool. We love him. We want him to hang out with us." And I'm like, but you guys know he's straight, right? Like, I love him, but you want me to bring him to the gay bar? Okay. I'm like, I'm just making sure. So we get several good lines in this scene.
Yes.
We get the Tolkien straight friend line. We get the Isaac saying, "But I want to believe in romance."
Yes.
Chef's kiss.
Yes. Is
Also,
this the most that we hear Isaac speak the entire season? Is this like the scene with the most Isaac words in it?
I can't say 100%, but I believe so. He's very excited in this scene, and he like word vomits when Elle walks in.
He also doesn't have a book.
Yeah, no, he's fully
invested,
fully involved in this conversation.
Yeah.
Elle comes in, and I just have to say, this color top,
beautiful,
is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
It suits her so well.
And it even it does kind of shift color. You can tell, like, when she comes in and the camera's at one angle, and then it's like just slightly a different color from the other angle when the sun's coming through. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one we're talking about. Both of them are fucking gorgeous on Yasmin Finney. Like, please. And the coat. Did you see her coat that she's carrying?
Love it.
Give me that coat or give me death.
It's probably like $2,500, but
I'm sure it's insane. By death, I mean financial death.
Oh, yes. I do take issue with Elle on one thing. Because she calls Nick the straightest person I have ever seen. And again, no.
Yeah.
No, just no. I disagree, Elle.
And if anyone was going to pick up on it, it would be Elle.
Because she clocked Tara and Darcy real quick.
Immediately.
Yeah.
But I guess also if the only context she has of Nick is with the rugby lads playing, like if that's it, if she never do we confirm that they did have a class together in the comic. Geography.
Was it geography? I don't remember.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I will, because that's in the bowling alley. It comes up. So
it's in the next episode.
I will consult the comics for that. But yeah.
But if her main context is like PE and rugby, maybe but has she looked at his Insta? Has she spent any time thinking about him outside of that? Because
yeah, it's she does, to her credit, she's really hesitant to kind of buy into this, asking Tara about Nick thing.
Again, as someone with anxiety, I'd be like, no, I'm not fucking doing that. Are you kidding me? I don't even know. I can't just walk up to someone who I barely know and be like, do you like this guy?
Yeah.
No, that's weird. That's weird. That's a weird thing to do.
And I do think, too, there's also this in the back of her mind, knowing that, something is up with her and Darcy, with Tara and Darcy.
Yeah.
But not wanting to give that away, which is, again, the good and respectful thing to do.
Yeah.
So, but she also has the line where she says that she doesn't know Tara well enough to ask, and that she's too busy being the mysterious new girl who everyone wants to hang out with, which on the one hand is a great line, but also breaks my heart because we know that she's had such a hard time making friends.
Yeah. But I do love how Tal, his face in response to that line, William Gow, chef's kiss again, mysterious girl.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But she finally agrees to ask if she gets the chance.
Because she sees Charlie's face crumble.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She even says, oh, God. Shit.
Yeah, she's doing this for Charlie, which I love. And that's the thing that I think is a lot better about how Ella's handling it than how Tao is handling it. Is Tao is doing it for Tao, Ella's doing it for Charlie. But then we get the adorable group hug where Charlie goes to hug her, and then Isaac joins, and Tao doesn't want to, but then Elle asks, and he's like, "Oh, so fine."
Can't resist.
God. And then conveniently in French class, they're talking about friends and family.
Yeah. I love how quickly I love how quickly Tara is to include Elle.
It was so sweet.
She doesn't even think about it. She's like, yes, please.
Yes. Also, Darcy's Je suis très bien en français. I loved it. I loved it so much. Just like, yeah, you are terrible. Even if you think you're great.
Did you do French?
I didn't. I did Spanish.
I did too.
But I did ballet. So, like, I have, like, a context of French from that.
Speaking of, I took a screenshot of the, like, it's, you know, like in high school when they would have like those big rolls of paper that you could get out and make art on. The French class art, did you look at it?
No.
It's behind her. It's okay. There's like a woman's bust that's clearly like a corset with like a shawl over her. There's another person that's like in a dress with their red boot like coming out of it. And there's an accordion and a paint palette. And it just says accordion, palette, Moulin Rouge. And I'm like, what American did they get to design this French room? Because those are like the quintessential like accordion, palette, Moulin Rouge. Like we're in a French class, just so you know.
Yeah. That's really funny. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, so then they all start asking each other, do you have a boyfriend? Darcy's the best because she changes the article from, like, I don't know French, but she changes it from the masculine form to the feminine form. So she really says, yes, I have a girlfriend.
To which Elle points out and she blushes and giggles and says,
oops.
Oops.
Yeah, just the look and the giggle between Tara and Darcy is great.
And not subtle.
Not subtle at all. Also, just like a quick sidebar, because the way to say boyfriend or girlfriend is petit ami, which literally translates to little friend. Yeah. Which, because those are two of the words in French that I know separate from each other. And I was like, little friend? Do you have a little friend? Huh? What?
Interesting.
I don't like it. I'm going to stick with Spanish.
Not here for it.
I'm going to stick with Spanish. Although Spanish has its own problems.
Every language has its own problems.
Yes, English included. So then Elle uses the same question to ask Tara, who says no. Not subtle. Better than thank you for being my supportive straight friend.
Yeah. And better than changing it to a feminine versus masculine. Just say no. Just say no.
Yeah.
And Darcy's like, side-eye. He's like, what? It's true. Like, I know. Again, pointing out to Elle that there is something going on here. Oh my god. Then we get Charlie sitting at the desk.
This breaks me.
His anxiety's palpable. And Nick walks in and sits down and looks over at him, and Charlie fully disassociates.
Like, and fully
just is gone. And sees in his mind Nick saying, I'm straight, like I only like girls, and if you feel that way, we should just be friends. Like,
or no, not even.
Maybe we shouldn't even be friends. Yeah. And Nick is so gentle with Charlie here without even really fully understanding what's happening. Which goes back to, again, Nick is just such a pure soul that
he's a golden retriever.
His initial instinct is just to be so gentle and understanding, and it just warms my heart.
Yes.
And then fully breaks it. With the rest of the show. So
yeah. But yeah, so Nick is really concerned about like what is going on in Charlie's brain, like because Charlie has fully left the planet Earth and has moved to planet Anxiety, which, like, relatable.
Yeah.
But then when he kind of, like, comes back and realizes that that was just his anxiety, he asks if Nick wants to come over and hang out.
Which we have already seen Nick at the beginning of this episode wanting to hang out more.
Yeah.
So his little, like, relieved sigh and smile has a little more weight to it than just situational, because we know that this is something he's already been wanting and trying to figure out how to make happen.
Yeah. And then we go back to Higgs.
Whoa, boy.
There's a lot of back and forth in this episode. It moves so quick.
Mm-hmm.
And Tara and Darcy are alone in a classroom, being very gay.
So gay.
So gay. And Elle comes in and says hi, and Darcy says that she was admiring Tara's hands.
Because hers get super crusty in the winter, but Tara's stays so soft. And the first time I watched this, I literally said, that's the gayest excuse I've ever heard. Literally word for word, only for that to be said word for word a few minutes later. And I was like, aha! Yeah. Like, seriously, her hands are so soft. Way to be straight.
Yes. Extremely heterosexual Darcy Olsen.
God damn it.
Oh my God. So Elle just kind of, like, comes out and says it. Like, I don't know if I've got the wrong idea, but are you guys dating?
Yeah.
Which is brave.
And they admit it.
Yeah.
It is brave. And the way she said it, like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
She's trying really hard not to make assumptions.
Yeah.
But also, as another queer person, has to be like, are we on the same page?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We've crossed the, like, talking friendship boundary. Now I need to know, like, do I understand you the way I'm understanding you? So yeah, it's, and the look that they give each other, like, should we? Should we tell
it's
her?
like the telepathic, like, do we do it? And
yeah. And they do.
Yeah. And they tell her she's officially part of the inner circle.
Officially part of the inner circle. So cute.
So cute.
I love it.
It's great, and, like, it's the beginning of something beautiful.
Yes. And the amount of fics that I've read that are like, Elle meets Tara and Darcy and Nick in one corner and has Tao and Charlie in the other corner and, like, unites them. And I'm like,
yeah.
Tracks. It fucking tracks.
Yeah. So then we go to the flirtiest scene ever. Flirt.
This is one of my favorite scenes from the whole show.
It's great. Nick is bad at the drums. And so Charlie does the classic, here, let me help you. And he, like, grabs his hands and is, like, playing the drums. And it's, like, making it like Nick is playing the drums. And the way that these two boys look at each other, that is love if I have ever seen it.
First off, another top-notch sweater by Charlie Spring.
Yes.
I need all of these sweaters. Second, I feel like he doesn't even realize that he is sharing a tiny-ass stool, thigh to thigh, holding his hands over Nick's hands and drumming until he looks over at Nick, who is blushing insanely.
Oh my God.
Because he has been fully losing his mind since Charlie sat down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, losing his mind.
I saw a great post earlier that was like, who needs the only one bed trope when we have only one stool?
Yes. And so he looks over at Nick, who is losing his mind, and together they look down at their hands and realize that even though they've stopped drumming, they're still holding hands.
Each other. Yes.
And Charlie aborts mission.
Yes.
He is out.
And then we cut to them on the couch, and Charlie has fallen asleep. Then Nick reaches over, like he wants to go hold Charlie's hand, and there's like a little tiny spark, like animated on the screen. And then he gets scared and he pulls his hand away. But then he tries again.
Like, how convenient that Charlie fell asleep.
Yes.
With his hand just open and waiting. Then, also, what movie do you think they're watching?
I tried to listen. I really wasn't sure, but in my heart says Star Wars. So I'm going with Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, fair.
Don't ask me why. I just know it in my soul to be true. I have no evidence, but
yeah. And the way that he looks over at sleeping Charlie with just like so much like adoration and like it's just before he even gets to the hand, like just looking at sleeping Charlie is like a moment for him.
It's a moment.
And our friend Eliza said this when we first watched this. I feel like the way that they animated this, where the hands are like glowing when Nick hovers, and there's like lightning bolts and like little firecracker sounds, and like it just does such a good job of like showing you like really what it feels like to be like
16
a first love. Like you don't really know what's going on, but you know that you really like this person, and like there's something there and you can feel it, but like you don't know. Like I just feel like they killed it. They absolutely killed it.
Yes. And like the way that like it's like the little tiny like little sparks the first time and then the full on fireworks the second time.
Yeah.
Like it's like he's like, oh, I wonder, oh, I felt something. Oh, let me Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm in too deep.
Did you see Netflix's little video they made?
No, I didn't.
They did it for TikTok like way back a long time ago, but I'll have to find it. It's like very much, it's all of these little cuts together and it's like Nick's wrote, like, you know, when you do the text on Snapchat and you can have it read.
Yeah.
I mean, not Snapchat, TikTok, and it reads. It's like that robot voice, and it's like, I wonder what it would feel like. Oh, that was gayer than I thought it was going to be. Oh, okay, maybe am I gay? I don't know. Like, I'll just have to link you that video because it's just very good. I was like, this is top-notch promo Netflix. Like, you did a good job with this one.
Yeah, it was so good, and I was crying.
Yeah, this scene, it gets you.
And also, like, I feel like thinking about Charlie as someone with anxiety and depression and, like, all of his control issues, like, the fact that he fell asleep is also very telling of, like, how he feels around Nick.
But it also goes back to the ED, I think.
Yes.
As well. Like, not eating and not having energy.
Yeah.
And how it can wear on you. But the fact that you're right, that he was comfortable enough to fall asleep with Nick.
As opposed to being like, oh, I'm tired. Like, you know, maybe we should call it or something. Yeah. Exactly.
Which he even says, like, I wish you didn't have to go in the next bit.
He's wrapped up in the blanket and he's so sad that Nick has to leave. And 100% heterosexual Nick Nelson says, you look so cuddly in that. Again, something that no heterosexual male has ever said in their fucking life to another male, to a boy, to another person.
Yeah.
Did you see, Brie? I have already finished my drink. I'm sorry, Brie.
Oh, no. I haven't finished my subtle comments yet, so pour another one.
Got some more. Yep, I don't think that's my last. It might be. We're nearing the end. Anyway.
He can't handle it.
He can't handle
the cuddleness of Charlie, and he can't keep his hands to himself any longer.
Hugs him for a long time. And then I have to assume that what happens is he looks up and he sees Tori, because he then very suddenly like clears his throat and is like, see you Monday, and leaves.
I have a different reading.
Oh.
I think that he didn't think it through. It was very much an impulse hug.
Oh.
And then it's when Charlie comes out of his shock and hugs him back that it cuts back to Nick's face. And Nick looks up and kind of his breath hitches a little bit like, oh shit, he's hugging me back.
And then he's like, of it that way.
Bro, I gotta go. Like, no homo, but I gotta get out of here because I don't know what's going on. But I do have a headcanon about Tori.
Ooh.
Here. When she pops out later and says that she doesn't think he's straight. My headcanon is that she was in the kitchen. She was refilling her diet lemonade. Yes. And she hears, "You look so cuddly like that." To which she was like, gay. So she starts to sneak around the corner and listen to the rest of it and sneaks around and sees the hug. But I never clocked that maybe he saw her. Yeah. I think that she's way too slick for that.
That's true. Yeah. I like both of our interpretations. So everyone gets 100%. Everyone gets full credit. Yeah. You've backed it up with textual evidence. Yeah, no, the way that Tori, like, as soon as Nick is out the door and the door is shut, we just hear her, I don't think he's straight.
Slurp. Slow slurp. That is a judgmental slurp if I ever heard one.
Yeah. And then everyone starts crying and doesn't ever stop.
Yeah, we get and the tears start.
We're in Nick's room. Why Am I Like This starts playing and I start crying, as I've already said. And Nick is looking at his Instagram, and the first picture is from Christian's Instagram. And it's like a picture of all the, like, Nick and the rugby lads. And I can, like, hear what Sarah said in Nick's inner monologue. Like, just the way that he's looking at that picture. And then it cuts.
He's hurt.
He is.
He's hurt looking at that photo.
Yeah, and he's, like, realizing, like, no, this isn't me. Which we're also going to see in a little bit. So I'm actually going to go out of order. Because then later on, after we cut through, like, the conversation with Charlie in his group chat, Nick then goes to a picture that Charlie posted of him in the snow on their, like, snow day. Which then, so then he closes out of Instagram and goes to his pictures and looks at all of those pictures. Okay, and you can...
I have something here about this transition from Instagram to photos. As an iPhone user.
Yes.
It's been a minute since the snow day.
And he has
those photos open already. Those photos were open. He's already been looking at them. He's already been thinking about this. All he had to do was switch back over and not scroll up to that day.
Yeah.
I was like,
gay.
And the little when he zooms in when he zooms in on Charlie's face, and then he does a little thumb rub down the side of his phone before he switches to the photos. Kills me every time.
And you know, you can see in those pictures of Nick and Charlie just like the difference in his like in Nick's demeanor, and it feels more authentic. Like the one with the rugby lads feels like an affectation. And also the picture of Nick and Charlie and Nellie is a fucking Christmas card, and that is a Christmas card picture. Like, I think, it truly is. I think that Sarah Nelson should send that as the Christmas picture.
You know what? We'll Photoshop her face in. It's good. It's a family
and not photo. David.
David's not included.
No.
Neither is Stefan.
Yeah. So back to in between these two moments, though, Charlie texts his group chat with Tao, Elle, and Isaac. And I do want to take a moment to appreciate the previous conversation that we can see on screen. The first thing it says, it's Tao, I'm joking. And then Isaac tagged Charlie and says, hope he's secretly gay. And Elle says lol with LOL. It's LOOOOOOOLOMG. And Tao says, please stop giving him ideas. Which I have to assume, like, that Nick stepped away for a moment and Charlie is catching them up on what has happened.
Right, yeah.
But then now, you know, in this moment, Charlie says, what does it mean when hot straight boy, and the H, S, and B of hot straight boy are in caps, which is important. What does it mean when hot straight boy hugs you for like a full 10 seconds? And in my mind, I say it's because he is gay.
It's not straight. Yeah.
But Tao
responds immediately. There's not even like, how did he even have time to read that?
I know. He was probably imagining you were Tara. And I fucking hate it.
It's bad, but Elle comes to the rescue.
Yes. Because Charlie says, shh, let me dream, which is all of us. And Elle says... Also, I love that she does this in the group chat where Tao can see it.
Yeah.
Instead of like in like a private message or something. But she says, okay, Charlie, don't ask me how I know this. But Tara definitely doesn't like Nick back. And the way that Charlie sits up, like that man.
So fast. Oh my God.
He goes from 180 degrees to 90 degrees in like 2 seconds.
Yes.
He's been doing some, and that's not easy to do on a bed.
He's ready for it.
And Elle says there's 0 chance of Tara and Nick becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts back to Nick and everyone starts crying again.
He is frozen. He's panicking because he's understanding from the feelings that he's feeling looking at these photos of Charlie that it's not platonic. He's starting to understand that
something's up.
There's something not friendship about this that's so happening.
He goes over to his beanbag chair that I'm very jealous of. I want a beanbag chair. And grabs his laptop and he starts to type, am I gay? And Why Am I Like This is playing over this whole thing. And I'm sobbing.
Yeah, the whole time.
Makes me just want to reach through the screen and hold him and tell him it's all gonna be okay. Because he lingers for a moment and he's like reading it, and it's like he's like acknowledging that the minute that I actually search this, it's real. And he hits enter, and the episode ends.
And like you're right, Kit Connor. All the awards to the full cast. Don't get me wrong. But this specific scene is so good because you can see the sadness, the panic, also hope. Like all of it is there in his face.
Yeah.
And it's just so good. It's good. And also horrible at the same time.
Yes. It's everything. It's everything. And then Why Am I Like This plays us out as we cry.
Sob.
And cry. Yeah. And cry.
Which I feel like we'll get into this later on in the series, but we're both bi. So we both went through this like, oh, wow, this is like, you know, well, any queer person goes through it. But it's interesting to me to watch it as someone who's significantly older than this character. Because I never did any Googling specifically. Like, I never Googled, am I gay? I just kind of was like, well, shit. I think I might be attracted to women. And I had to sit with that. But that was because I'm not from, like, I would have never thought to Google, am I gay? Did you Google?
I definitely Googled, like, how do I know I'm gay? Or how do you know if you're gay? Or something like that.
Yeah. How old were you when you...
So, the short version, because we are planning an entire episode about this. But the like full journey basically was from like 16 to 19.
Okay. See, I was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
So looking back, it was definitely there at those ages, but I didn't comprehend it. It wasn't until I was probably 23 or 24 before I started like fully understanding like, well, shit. I think maybe all those times I thought, because we'll get it. I'm not going to spoil our full, because we're going to have a full episode about this. But
it was like the second bonus episode that we planned. We were like music and being bi.
And being bi, yeah. So, but yeah, just to see, like, it's definitely relatable. The panic, the confusion, also the hope, just like trying to grasp it all is very understanding. But the Googling made me feel super old. But also because I was a late bloomer, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I would have, I just would have never thought. But it's specific to my journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely did.
We have the end credits after that, and we all cry all the way through it.
All the way through it.
Over.
Exactly. So we had discussed before we started this podcast, doing a wrap up with our favorite quote at the end. And we forgot, in all of our excitement, we forgot to do it in episode 1. So we're gonna share our favorite quotes from episodes 1 and 2, and then moving forward, we'll make sure to do this at the end of every episode. So for episode 1, I had 2, so I'm curious to know what yours was.
Mine was a landslide, no questions asked. Mine is Tori Spring in the kitchen. Was he a knob? Well done.
That is a very good one. That one is excellent. I was stuck between 2. I was stuck between, I'm sure you'll get along swimmingly, or you can sit in silence for the rest of the year. It really doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever. Because it just speaks to me so deeply. But then also Charlie saying, so you're saying I am small and weak. The delivery and everything, and like the flirtiness of it was just so good.
So good.
And I can't choose between those 2. I tried.
You shouldn't have to pick.
Yes. But for episode 2, it was a piece of cake. For me, it was far and away.
Well, let's say it on 3.
Okay.
Because I think we have the same.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe not. But I would assume. I thought maybe.
Okay.
With the general theme of our podcast.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
And bisexual people exist.
No, it wasn't mine. That one's great, but wow, being a teacher is terrible. Being a teenager is terrible.
Okay, to be fair, I did think maybe that scene would take it for you, but
yes.
Yeah.
And bisexual people exist.
I just have to go for that one.
I have to go with Mr. Ajay because
it's fair. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how hard did your heart stop this time?
4.
4. That's what I had too. I said a solid 4. The fireworks and the glowing hands, it really did it for me. I was very close to cardiac arrest.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Am I Gay really gets you there at the end. Because like as I was watching it, I was like, is this episode really only like a 2? And then the last 5 minutes come in and they're like, hey, in case you didn't remember.
It gets me at Charlie's house is when I start to like fully stop breathing and then all the way through the end. Basically like just hit.
Heartbreaking scale is on a 5 though. The heartbreaker scale is a 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is I will say it's a roller coaster for me. It's up and down the full season because I've already planned. I've already looked. I've already planned this out for myself. I know where I'm going with this scale, and it's going to be up and down.
Yeah. The next one's going to be.
Yeah.
The next one. Yes.
Season. Okay, so but after out of all 8 episodes, episode 3 is my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Episode 3 is great. I also just really love episode 8.
Yeah, great episode.
So I think that's everything we have for this episode, and I hope that you have your cuddle buddy, cuddle blanket, cuddle pillow stuff, something that you can cuddle with and cry, as I certainly will be, just wrapping myself in a weighted blanket and crying it out to Why Am I Like This? I hope that you have that. And of course, this is a bi-weekly podcast by two bisexuals who exist.
Yes.
So we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about episode 3, Kiss.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. And if you want to follow us online, we are at Why Are We Cast on all platforms.
Yes. Including Tumblr now, because I got bored the other day.
Yeah.
So until next time, bye.
Bye.